I could have known, one beyond my wildest dreams. Maybe that road could have carried me to streets of gold. Things aren't always as they seem. Looking back on all the chances that I missed, some I held, some slipped away. One street over where my memories exist, I wondered what would change, I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today. Except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today.
Good morning, Robertson County. How you doing? This is 1100 WSGI. I'm Neutral Laverne, and this is One Street Over Wichita Ramblers, singing us in, as always, talking about, hey, what is going on? One Street Over. And so what do we have on the agenda today? I just say, if you missed yesterday, go back and listen to Miss Ace Timbermeyer and Lacey Bew. From Willow Oak. Ace is our tourism coordinator for the city of Springfield. She talked about so many things coming up, and it's so funny. I had questions that I wished I had asked her, but we just ran out of time because we could have talked, I think, for a few hours. Lacey came in talking about the Willow Oak, the Choral Festival. It's going to be candlelit. It's this Saturday. I think 2 and 7 are the show times. It is going to be spectacular. Your very own director of schools is in it. Dr. Chris Causey and his bride, they're also in the course. And I think it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful event. And I hope you'll do that and support the programs of Willow Oak. Now, we're going to also talk to today at 7:30. We've got Chalene Sullivan coming in from My Father's House. She's always checking in with us on social media, so we're looking forward to seeing Charlene and seeing what's the latest with My Father's House since they have moved locations, and I want to hear all about that. But today I've been promising for a while that I'm going to get one of my students in here, and we're going to talk about my new experience as a teacher, because I am now a high school teacher at Greenbrier High School. And one of my absolute best students is Alex Maddux. Hey, buddy. What's up?
Good morning.
Good morning. So I had posed to it's so funny, when I first took over the class, when I first started the class, I even told him, I said, does anybody want to come in and do the show with me? And I got to say, Charlene, don't forget, you're coming in here at 7:30. And I didn't confirm with her yesterday, but we talked about it before Thanksgiving. So come on in here, Charlene, at 7:30. She's just checking in on social media. But I posed the question to the class when we first started. I said, hey, would any of you guys like to come in and, be on the radio with me? And I had quite a few raise their hands. Well, I had put it off. And then I posed the question again a couple of weeks ago, and Alex is the only one willing to get up early and get in here. Now, we may have, once they see him do this and see it's painless, they may be like, okay, maybe I can do that. So here's the big question, Alex. Number one, how am I doing? Go ahead and pull that microphone to you. Go ahead and pull that microphone to you a little bit more. How am I doing? Am I a good teacher?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. I told him, I said, now before I turn the mics on, I said, be honest. But you think I'm doing okay?
I really enjoy the audio video one class.
Okay. Well, and you're doing an excellent job.
Thank you.
Alex is my student that keeps me. He's one of many. I've got several that just keep me sane because this is a new program. It's one of those that there's a lot of people in. It's like, what is this? And they're not necessarily really into it. They're a little bit disruptive in class. It's very hard to keep them on task. And because we have a lot of technical issues as we're trying to get everything up and going, just yesterday during fourth block, I had a plan, but then I was trying to get one of the other students going with doing a voiceover, and nothing was working. I spent 30 minutes trying to do, and it just like chaos erupts. So it's like those kinds of things happen because we're trying to get the tech figured out. So it's just like, So I have students like Alex who sits right there in front of me, and I can say, Alex, I need you to take this task and do this, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it, and he's so humble. But we're working on this documentary. What was your idea for the documentary? Were you all on board for Bigfoot, or what was? Because I forget all the different ideas. Did you submit an idea? Your group? Do you remember what it was?
I think my group's idea was the Bell Witch.
The Bell. Oh, that's right. That's right. We talked about that, and so we were voting on what we were going to do, and the class voted for Bigfoot, and so we had a good time going and talking to Mr. Blue about Bigfoot. And so you took all the footage the other day, and I gave it to all the students, and I said, okay, I need you to go through it. I need you to see what you can do with it and lay it out. He's the only one who did what I asked to do, and you did it in about 30 minutes. Let me just give you an applause out there, okay? I mean, you're doing an excellent job. Your mom and dad should be very, very proud.
Thank you.
So you got good grades across the board? I figured you did. You're a sophomore.
Yes.
And you're from here.
Yes.
So are you always from that district of Greenbrier? Did you grow up in that area and go to the elementary schools, or have you moved around the county?
I did. I went to Chrysler for elementary school until 3rd grade. Then I went to Crestview for 3rd grade.
Okay.
And then I went back to Chrysler for 4th and 5th grade. And then I've been in Greenbrier since middle school and high school.
Okay. And I don't know that I said, this is Alex Maddux. So I don't even know if I properly introduced you because I'm a scattered mess most days. But Alex Maddux is one of my students at the audio video production class at Greenbrier High School. And it was so funny. I get a message from Miss Grimes, who is amazing. The more I get to know her, she's just all over the place. And she does a fabulous job keeping social media updated and putting out video, and she's putting stuff together for the 100-year anniversary. And she messaged me last night that she had an interview with a former student that she wants, it's like 8 minutes, and she wants to condense it down and make it into a nice, neat little package. Can one of your students do it? And I thought, Alex can. So I have another task for you. He's working right now. He's taking because he kind of reorganized the documentary for me already. And then I immediately gave him the footage from Veterans Day where we had the program. And so he's working on that. I got another one for you. So you up for the challenge?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too. The sad thing is we've got testing going on right now. So I don't even think I'm going to get you guys in class today. I think you are going to be in testing if I'm not mistaken on the schedule. So we have a lot of work to do, Alex, because, we've got, 16 days left before Christmas?
I think so.
I know. There's a lot to do. How are the rest of your classes? Do you have a lot going on, or have you got things kind of, you don't have anything pending you don't have like a paper to write or anything dramatic?
No, nothing really. We started learning something new in geometry, and it's a little confusing.
Okay.
That's all.
Who do you have for geometry?
Coach Troy.
Okay. So, but math, my friend Muriel Barnett, I can, when I try to It's like I'll tell the students, we were talking about, I said, if I would do some things a little differently if I were teaching math, English, government, history, those kinds of things. Audio video is a lab driven class. So it's just, stuff going on all the time. So it's a very different kind of thing. My heart goes out to teachers who teach those really difficult subjects, trying to keep the students focused. And we've talked a lot about phones and not having your phone and all of those things, and the importance of definitely abiding by those rules when you're in the math classes. And I mean, how you've got to focus and pay attention to what the teachers are. It's just, I'm sorry, I'm going down a rabbit hole. I want to talk to Alex. So whenever you heard about the audio video program, you've already been playing around with audio and video, right? What do you have iMovie and all those things at home? What is the medium that you were using to work with audio and video prior to what we're doing in class?
I use iMovie on my laptop.
Okay.
And like me, my friends, and my cousins, we would make like our own like short films and stuff for YouTube. And I filmed those, edited them, and stuff like that. So I like doing that. And then whenever I heard that there was going to be a audio video class, I like Googled what audio video was, and I was more interested in that.
Okay.
I was excited to take it this year.
Well, and so are those movies out there that I could see? Do you have them? Would you show them to me? I'd love to see what you got.
Yeah,
We'll have to do that.
YouTube.
We'll have to check that out. Mm-hmm. We're going to do as we get on toward the end of the semester. I'm going to spend one day. There's one movie in particular that I want to show you guys about audio video, and there's a couple of things because we haven't done that, but we'll watch each other's projects and things like that. Mm-hmm. But that might be a fun thing to enjoy. Maybe when we have a Christmas party, say, okay, we're gonna watch some of Alex's stuff. But do you have anything Christmas themed on there?
We were gonna do something last year, but we ended up not having time, so it didn't work out.
I gotcha. But how many cousins have you got? Are we talking? Have you got a big production team to do this with?
Usually it's just I have multiple cousins, but usually we just do 3 of them.
Okay, there's about 3 of them that are into it. Because, I mean, you got to be into this. I can suggest getting in front of a camera and doing things to some people, and their eyes just glaze over and they get like a deer in a headlight look, and they're like, no. Mm-hmm. But we're really excited because we'll have Audio Video 2 next year, and you're signed up for it.
Yes.
Right? I'm so excited. Because you were in the business communications class,
yes.
right? And then you moved to the other class, which somebody asked me about business communications, and I said, public speaking. They were like, what? And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be a huge aspect of it. So get ready, y'all. If you don't want to be a public speaker, you better it'll be okay. We'll ease you in. But I'm having a lot of fun. I got a lot to learn. Oh my goodness, I got a lot to learn. I'm excited about the things we've got coming in. I've talked to them at central office. Looks like we've got our new computers. I think they're going to start bringing them in and switching them out. So do you want to be one of the first new computers?
Sure.
You and Jacob, I think, are both like jonesing to get a computer that's got a little bit more, a little bit better processing on it. So it'll work a little better. We're talking with Alex Maddux. He is a sophomore at Greenbrier High School. He is a lifelong resident of Robertson County, and just one of you can't have favorite students, but I mean he does what I ask him to do. How can you not love that? But he does an excellent job. But he's got several interesting things going on. I've got 2 or 3 things I want to talk about. See, it's already almost a quarter after, Alex, and So talk to me about your personal project. We had talked about trying to get Misty in here the same day you came in. We challenged them to do a personal project, and you set out to look into what?
The Isaiah House.
What made you interested in the Isaiah House?
I think the first time that I heard about the Isaiah House was me and my cousins did a lemonade stand when we had a yard sale for the Isaiah House, and we made about $400, and it all went to the Isaiah House. Mm-hmm. And it was my grandmother that I had heard about it from, and I just really like what they're doing. with everything, so that's why I decided to make that my personal project.
Why don't you tell them for people who don't know what the Isaiah House is all about? We talk a lot about it, but you might have missed that. Can you kind of give them the review of what it is?
It's pretty much just a foster home where the foster children can go when they don't have a place to stay, instead of them having to sleep in offices for be in offices for days, hours, anything like that. They can go to places like the Isaiah House.
Right. If you have a social service call, and the children have to be removed from the home for their safety, and where do you go? Well, they go into foster care, and there's that time period. And once you see what these kids go through, and you just can't unsee it. And when you find out about something like the Isaiah House, you're like, yeah, let me be a part of that. And we have one right here. And you got to tour it. What'd you think?
It was really nice. I liked touring it, and it was actually nicer and bigger than what I thought it was going to be. And
well, what do you think the difference in like if for a child versus, going in and having to go into this office in a cubicle and sit and wonder what's happening versus walking into an actual home where they actually have their own bedroom and toys, game systems? I mean, what would be the difference emotionally, do you think?
I think, I know, like, whenever they go to the Isaiah House, Misty had said that if they had seen something that they really liked, like a toy, or she had even mentioned, like, an Xbox that they liked, that they could take it with them, and that they would just replace it. And I think it's more, the Isaiah Houses feel more welcoming, because it's actual house, and she had mentioned, like, if there was anything they wanted to eat or anything, they can do that. But I feel like at the offices, they're just there to sleep, just so they have somewhere.
Just as basically shelter until they can get them to a foster family. And that takes a minute. So what, as far as, did Misty mention what we can do as a community to help with Isaiah House? Maybe volunteers, always donation kind of thing. What did she say about any of that stuff?
I know she said that they were looking for volunteers, and my grandmother actually went to a class for the volunteering class, and then Misty had mentioned that I did a video for the Isaiah House, and like they have a website and stuff where you can support them by buying shirts, stickers, and stuff like that.
So you can go to Isaiah. I have a bracelet I wear almost all the time, Isaiah 117, and you can go in and go for Robertson County, and excuse me, and find out a little bit more. Tell me this. We're going to continue to talk with Alex Maddux. He's one of my students at audio video class in Greenbrier. But several things that I want to touch on while he's in here. And one of them is that Mr. Terry Martin Hollywood, we like to call him, because you really enjoy going and being a part of anything involving audio video, and that's including some of the movie productions around here. And so tell them what you've been a part of as far as the movie productions here in Springfield and Robertson County.
They filmed The Life of Me a few months ago, and it was starring Danielle Nicolette and Brian J. White. The director was Ty Mans, and it was just, I had seen that they were looking for extras on Smoky Barn, and then on another page that I'm on Facebook, I had seen, and so I applied on Smoky Barn, and I didn't hear anything back until about a day before they had started filming. So we got there the first day, and it was a parade scene, and we went and checked in at the center. We waited for about an hour, and then we walked up to the courthouse where they filmed the parade scene. It was supposed to be like a Easter themed parade.
Okay.
And we all got into different groups, and we would walk in like towards each other, where in the front it was the main people, and then the kids were handing out candy. And then on the second day, me and my cousin ended up going that day, and they were filming in Public House, the restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
and we got to take pictures with the actors. The third day was whenever I seen Terry Martin. He was we were waiting in the green room, and I was talking to him, and I think my rap time was the time that was his call time, and he was going on a set, and he was doing some scene in the alleyway, and I think my character's name was Z-Boy or something like that. And then on the fourth day, we did a scene in the one of the houses in the historic neighborhood, and that was really cool to see inside. I didn't have that big of a part that day because I was the only extra that showed up, and they couldn't really use me as much as they thought they could since I was the only one, so that was more of like a learning day. One of the assistant directors, I think he took me around and he was showing me like all of the equipment and everything like that.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
See, I didn't know you had that experience. And I love that you used the terminology. It was your rap time versus his call time. Explain what you mean by that. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but I mean, it's a term that you hear a lot in production.
A call time is pretty much like if your call time is at 2 o'clock, they expect you to be there probably about 1:45 or something like that.
At least, really.
And even if like one of my call times was 4, I think it was, and I ended up getting there at about 3:45, and we ended up waiting about 2 hours in the green room. So it's a lot about waiting, I think, especially while you're on set. And then a wrap time is just an estimated time of whenever they expect you to be done.
So you figure you and Terry kind of passed each other. You were finishing as he was coming in one day, and we love to tease Terry because he had a significant role. They ended up casting him as the sheriff in this thing, and so we've just had a ton of fun calling him Hollywood. He's gonna always be Hollywood now. But and you were so I cannot wait to see this. When do you think the movie's coming out? Do you know?
From what I've heard, it's going to be April.
Okay.
Since it's an Easter movie.
Oh, of course. And so, from the sounds of it, we should see you in it. I'm thinking for sure we're going to see. Did you have any speaking roles? Did you say anything?
I didn't have any speaking roles, but I think my main part was the third day that I was there. We were on the square, and in one of the shops, like the doorways, they had me standing in the doorway, and then on my cue, I would walk out. And the camera would be down here. I would walk into the sidewalk, on the sidewalk into the camera, and then turn, and then the actors follow behind me. So I think that's the main part where you would see me.
Yeah.
And I had like, as if I was shopping, I had shopping bags, and then I was like on a phone call.
Okay. I love it. That's so fun. I think that's great. And this is not your first experience, though, being in a movie.
No, I've mainly done short films before. I've never really been on like a feature film.
Yeah.
But I've been on a music video that was on YouTube. It got, I think, like 1.1 million views or something
was
like
it?
that. Her name was A-Star. She's a aspiring pop singer. And I've been on maybe 8 short films, including the ones that we've done with my friends and cousins.
Okay. Well, that is so much fun. And, we had a couple of music videos shot here locally just a couple of weeks ago. So it's going on all the time. Now, I thought you were in the one that they did a few years ago that was a Christmas film. Were you not in that as an extra?
No, I was interested in doing it when I had seen that also on Smoky Barn, but you had to have a negative COVID test.
Oh,
And
that's right.
the day that I had seen it, like at that time, I don't think they had the rapid test, so it ended up being like you had to wait a few weeks or days or something like that.
Okay.
And they were filming that next weekend.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about the whole. That was during all the COVID stuff. So, but and that was what kind of restrictions did they have this time? Did you have to go through COVID screening this time?
On the third day and the fourth day that I was there, we had to do COVID test.
Okay.
But on the other day, we didn't have to, but I think that was just partly because it was a parade scene and there was like hundreds of people there. So
right, and they weren't as
no way
concerned.
to COVID test everybody there.
Right, and I when we did CMA work a couple of weeks ago, they have a rotation where you test on before you go in, and then every 3 days you have to go get tested to stay on the crew. And so it's just a routine. It's just part of entertainment right now. You have to kind of go through that routine of COVID testing. I don't know when that'll end. I would assume at some point, but there's just all kinds of things. What were you most surprised about being behind the scenes on a movie set?
I don't know. I think just seeing like all of the equipment and how many people it actually takes to do that, and seeing how many takes they have to do. Because I think, like on the parade scene, we had to do like 15 different takes, and then like they would tell us there would be set 1 and set 2. Set 1 would be where we start, and then set 2 would be where we ended. So whenever they were going in between takes, they would tell us go back to set 1, go back to set 2, and stuff like that. And then I think just mainly how everything comes together, like seeing everything and how much it takes to do, and then seeing it on screen.
And maybe the waiting. I heard you say that
Yes.
the length of time was kind of a surprise. I think is a conversation you and I had, is how long it takes to get everything done.
Yes.
But very good. But we're talking with Alex Maddux. He is one of my students at Greenbrier High School. He is part of the audio video production class, and we're having a lot of fun with the class. What else is on your mind? Anything? We've talked a little bit about the Isaiah House, and you did your personal project for that. He's been in movies and music videos. What do you want to do when you grow up? Do you know yet? Have you got an idea of what you want to do as an adult?
Not really. I think before I got into making like the short films that we did, and then going into the other stuff, I had always talked about I wanted to be a 911 dispatcher.
Okay.
But I haven't really thought about college or anything like that, like where I would want to go. But I did just get done doing a WIFT Academy. It was a 3-month film class, and everybody there would ask me, like, what do I want to do? And, like, I didn't know what to tell them, because I didn't know if I wanted to be more of, like, talent, if I wanted to edit, direct, and stuff like that.
Tell me about this film class. I don't think I've heard about this. When did you do that?
It started in August, and then ended in October, I think. And we did pre-production, production, and then post-production. So they told us everything that we needed to know in pre-production, like budget, location, everything like that, writing the script. We did table reads, and then production, I was a PA, so I did the clapperboard. And then also, like, if anybody needed anything, I would get it for them. And then we filmed like 4 different weekends, I think, and then we got into post-production, and I wasn't really there for that because I was at the beach. And they went to some Nashville editing place, and they taught them how to edit, and then so right now it's being edited. It was a short film that they filmed.
Okay.
So it should be done soon.
And what was the name of that company? That's fascinating.
It was WIFT Academy.
WIFT, spell that.
WIFT.
WIFT Academy. How cool. And that's something you can sign up for, and then you go through the entire production process.
Yeah, I think they want to do it once a year, and that was the first year that they've done it.
How cool is that? That's a great idea. I love that. I need to hear more about that, because for one of the students maybe that wants to, do something outside of the classroom, and that's the goal, is to do very structured things like that in our class, in audio video too. I've talked about, we've got plans to do a music video with Cricket Eye Tommy, and we really want to do something for the 100-year anniversary for Greenbrier. So there's several things. We're going to be very production heavy in audio video too, because we're going to be a smaller class. It's going to be a little bit easier to control. It won't be many fires to put out, is my hope. But so it's going to be interesting. I'm thrilled that you're in that class. I absolutely am thrilled. So anything that we're missing? It's about 7:28 here, so I see Charlene's out there. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up our time, Alex?
Nothing that I can think of.
So you think we got it all covered? I think we covered it all pretty well. But so it was painless, right?
Yeah.
So see. I told him. I said when we come in, I was saying my prayers this morning. Don't let Alex be nervous because it's just easy. We're just talking, just sit. I like to tell everyone that we're just sitting on the porch having a conversation. That's all there is to it. So, well, you make sure that your family knows that I appreciate them going to the trouble of getting you in here. We do not want to make you late for class, and we can do this again if you would like.
Okay.
All right, sounds good. You can tell all your classmates that it was painless. So thanks so much, Alex.
Thank you.
God bless you. And I'm going to let him make the transition out the door and let Chalene come on in here. He's got to get on to class because they got testing today and all those things. So, and I gave him a note in case he's a little bit late. Bye, Alex. Thank you so much, hon. God bless you. And I'll see you in a little bit. And Charlene's going to make her way on in here. And we're going to reset and get ready to talk to her about all the things going on at my father's house. But as we're getting ready for that, let's talk about Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Store. I was out there yesterday, and yes, I picked up one of Miss Jane's aprons. I don't know. I thought somebody else made the aprons for some reason, but if you go into Corbin, they've got so many fun things. Of course, they've got your CBD products. I restocked my CBD supply because it is just what keeps me from hurting from my arthritis. I was running out, and so I was being sparse in how much I was using, and I was using a little more conservatively, and my aching started to resurface. Now, I've also been on an antibiotic because I had I've had a little bout of sickness last week like everybody else, but I think the antibiotic plays on your system a little bit. So I thought I gotta get to Corbin and restock CBD, and I did that yesterday and talked to Miss Amy. But I got another one of the little bowl cozies, so my husband and I don't have to fight over the one that we have. And again, Miss Jane made these. I got a couple of really beautiful pot holders too, just beautiful. And got a Christmas themed apron that I am thrilled that Miss Jane made. Go and see them at Corbin. They're so much fun. They got so much happening out there. And they are just a delight to talk to. I love Amy. She is so smart about all the things that she does. She loves it. She's passionate about it. And if you need anything for your home that's any plant life, go and see what they have in the greenhouse. They've got beautiful selections. They've got beautiful gifts inside the store. Of course, there's CBD that I just mentioned. And you can meet up with them all the time. I called her and I said, hey, are you going to be there? Because their hours right now are 10 to 4. On Monday through Saturday. Sunday, they're from 1 to 4. She was battening down the hatches yesterday because of all the wind and the storms and, making sure everything was secure whenever I stopped by. But if for some reason you can't make the hours that they're there, give her a call. She says, I can meet you. It's no big deal. But that's what you get from a hometown business is that kind of personal service. And they just love taking care of you. And they certainly can't wait until it starts warming back up. And we'll get back into the springtime and stuff will start growing. And you can start prepping for that right now. I mentioned the other day that I had noticed Mr. Tim Henson talking about tilling his garden, plowing his garden. Those are the kinds of things that you need to do now to get ready. So whenever the cold weather starts easing up, I know we've not really gotten into it yet, but we'll be through it and ready for winter vegetables before you know it, guys. So you need to plan ahead for that. And if you've got questions about it, go talk to Amy. She'll fill you in. But they're at 4920 Highway 161 in Springfield. If you want to give them a call and talk to them, 615-384-3185, 615-384-3185. Tell them you can send you. Charlene is in the house with my faithful viewers every morning. Thank you, sister, so much for always checking in with us and seeing what's going on. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Makes the call-outer line feel a little pleasant.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very, very much. And you are doing kingdom work, sister. You are doing kingdom work, and I love you. And we did a video with you at the school. The audio is just not great. I mean, I still need to get it for you and let you see it. But it was the first thing we did as we started class. And so what I think we're going to do, we're going to do something else. And it'll probably be first of the year, but we will do something. As soon as maybe that'll be our first thing out of the gate is to really feature you guys so we can push that out. And maybe we can get it done before Christmas because people need to know about my father's house.
Yeah, we've had some churches ask if we had something they can show
at
their church.
That gives me more reason to get on this then. And And I feel like we need to do something on location, and it may be that I'll just come see you and get the footage myself, because trying to get the students there, you have to do field trip and all that
Yeah,
kind of thing.
that'd
So
be-
it might be that maybe I can stop by and get some footage and then let them do the edits, and let's push it out for you.
That'd be great to show our new location.
Talk to me
do not.
about, tell everybody, if you're not familiar with my father's house, I'm going to let Charlene just kind of give you the overview and fill you in, because this is amazing that we have this shelter here in Springfield, in Robertson County, and what they're doing here. It is so needed, so necessary. And again, like I said, kingdom work, sister. You're doing
Yeah.
kingdom work.
It is, and this year has been a God thing from the very beginning. This is our 5th year. This is the first year we've had our own place. We don't have to pack up at the end of March and store it somewhere and worry where we're going to be next year.
Yes.
We open November 1st, and we'll be open through March 31st. We hope, since we have our own location, that we can be open a couple of days a month during the hot months,
That'd be awesome.
so that they can come in, if they know they have a job interview, come in and get a shower. Maybe we can help them with a resume, clean clothes, serve them a lunch, a light lunch. But like I said, we're open from November 1st and March 31st right now. We're run completely by volunteers. There's nobody paid on staff. It's all donations. This year, we are located at 101 10th Avenue East, where we're sharing the store where We 3 Bees Honey.
Yes.
They still have a small storefront in there. Mr. Wallen, he and his wife own the building, and they're the ones that have the honey store. They approached us, told us they had a building we could use.
Oh, wow.
We were worried about where we were going to be, and our co-chair, Steve Phillips, that you met,
Right.
he laughs and says he remembers at a meeting in April that I commented that didn't know where we were going to be unless God dropped a building in our lap. And he did.
I love that.
We walked through the building, weren't sure how we were going to make it work. It was pretty much just a couple of brick walls, so it was not divided up into rooms or anything. And we signed a 3-year lease, not knowing how we were going to do the renovations or where the money was going to come from. And one of our volunteers from last year, her husband works with Solomon Builders out of Nashville. He happens to go to church with Mr. Wallen that owns the building. And he came home. They do a mission project every year at their work. And he came
Solomon
home.
Builders.
Solomon
Yeah.
Builders. And he came home and told his wife, he said, they asked me to find the project this year. Who should I do? And she said, well, my father's house.
Of course.
And so he approached us, and we said, well, of course, and there's no I'm just guessing probably $30,000 or $40,000 worth of work
Wow.
that they came in and did over about a month's time. And then Bath Fitters came in and dropped us in brand new showers, and they did a lot of stuff, a little finishing stuff that Solomon Builders hadn't gotten to, and they bring their families in at the end and let their families be involved.
I love it.
We've had people, we needed bunk beds because the sleeping areas are smaller. We've been using air mattresses. So we said, we'll go with bunk beds. We were starting to raise money to buy bunk beds. Nashville Rescue Mission said, we can give you bunk beds. Okay, we started looking for mattresses, and a camp in Portland selling their mattresses for $5 a piece.
Oh, wow.
So we got that. Everything we've needed before we've needed. God knew what we needed.
I love it.
And before we could ask for it, he'd just drop it on our lap. We've got a full kitchen. We haven't had a kitchen before. We've got 2 refrigerators, 2 stoves, 2 microwaves. We've got an ice maker. We've got a chest freezer. We've got things we've never had before. The one thing we're limited on, our storage space is not great.
Okay.
But we're working on that.
Okay.
Our biggest problem this year is volunteers.
Of course.
People to spend the night. People don't mind bringing food. But as I've told people before, the biggest asset you have that you don't want to let go of is your time. And I think a little of it is the unknown also. It's a little scary.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're getting yourself into. But we've had a few people step up. We just need some more.
Just need a few more. Always need people. The time, like you said, the time is really one of the hardest things to give.
Yeah.
And now tell me, in regards to that, we have been, our congregation up at Madison Church of Christ, prior to COVID. Now, I'm not sure what the status is if they're getting involved again this year, but I don't think so. The Room in the Inn program we were involved in for many years, but we only accommodated men.
Right.
So what is the specifics on My Father's House now? Can you take care of men and women? Just men? How does it work?
The way we've got the rooms set up, we have one room. We can house 24 individuals.
Whoa, 24! That is
24
fabulous.
individuals. We have one room set up with 4 bunk beds. So we have the men in there because we tend to have more men than we do women.
Okay.
So we can accommodate 8 men in there. We have 3 smaller sleeping rooms that will sleep 4 each.
Okay.
And we tried to designate 2 for family rooms.
Oh, good. Okay.
If we have someone come in with children.
Okay.
We do, because of insurance, if they come in with a husband, he has to sleep back with the men.
Okay.
Just to keep the men and the women separate.
Right.
And then we have one room that's designated just for women, if we have women come in. I think we had some extra. I wasn't there last night. We had some newer people come in last night. But we've been averaging around between 8 and 12.
Okay.
It started a little slow because the weather was mild the 1st of November. But as it's getting colder and it was raining, bad out last night, we had some new people come in, from what I understand. I think we have about around 4 or 5 women,
Okay.
which is unusual. We haven't usually have that many. And we've had 5 or 6 men at one time. So, and they were all just, a good group of people.
That just have fallen on hard times, guys.
Oh, yeah.
If you've never been in the world of getting to know homeless people and the things that go on, there's always a story. And sometimes it's, a lot of times there's some addiction or something somewhere, but then when they hit the rock bottom, trying to find their way back out, this is a part of it. And it is just a constant struggle. And I tell Chalene, you are doing kingdom work, being absolutely the hands and feet of Jesus. It is exactly what we are called to do as Christians. And I'm talking to myself. I'm so busy, I don't know where I'm turning half the time. But now, so if I were to want to volunteer as a woman, could I just be that one person that's there? Do you need just one person? How does it work?
Overnight, we have 2.
You have 2. Do you have to have a man and a woman?
We have a man and woman there, yes.
Okay.
We're encouraging maybe couples to sign up and do it together. Or if you're in a Sunday school class or a women's group, 2 or 3 of you can come and do it together.
So what are the time parameters on something like that?
If you want, we've got several different ways you can volunteer.
Okay.
You can help with the sign-in, get there about 4:45. We open at 5. Stay till about 6 or 6:30. We ask them to kind of stay and help if we need help serving supper.
Okay.
You can volunteer by bringing supper.
Okay.
We serve supper at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Stay. We encourage whoever brings supper to stay and sit down and visit and eat with we call them our guests, with our guests.
Absolutely, they're your guest.
At 6:45, we have a short devotional. You can volunteer to do a devotional. We just ask that it be non-denominational, that, Christian Bible-based. That's the only thing that we ask. We don't want it long because their attention span is short. They've been out in the cold all day, and they've just had a hot meal, and maybe they've had a hot shower. If they haven't, they're going to, and
they're probably
they're ready to go to bed. Some of them are ready to go to bed by 8 o'clock. We have the volunteers for overnight come in. They need to be there by 8. And you can't split the night up. Last night we didn't have a woman signed up to spend the night. We didn't know what we were going to do, and 2 women stepped up. One of our board members and another volunteer split the night in half. One stayed until midnight, and then the other one came in at midnight and stayed till this morning. So you can do that. You do not have to stay awake. The sleeping area where the volunteers are, they're kind of in the middle of everything. You're going to hear... It's not a huge building. We're in close proximity. It's not like at the Armory where we're just spread out. And you're going to hear somebody up moving around. As long as you don't, just are, a really, really sound sleeper. So you don't have to, people think you got to sit up all night. You don't have to sit up all night. We have a lot of people that stay and they get up and go to work the next morning.
Right.
The ideal situation, as many churches as we have in Robertson County, if one church would sign up for one day a month and supply the volunteers for that night, we would not have a problem at all.
Say that again.
One church sign up for one out of the, I forget how many churches there's.
Yeah, with all the churches that are here in Robertson County.
Sign up for one night a month.
One night a month.
And cover the sign-in, the meal, the devotion, and the overnight. And it would take care of the whole season. I mean, we wouldn't have to worry about it and be stressing who's going to stay tonight. And I work on signing up volunteers, and I was sitting wondering what we're going to do. I cannot go spend the night myself because I've got 3 grandchildren that I've got to get to school in the morning. My husband leaves to go to work at 4 o'clock.
Right.
So I can't do it. And I feel bad because I did it the first 2 years because I
Sure.
didn't have them. But, I mean, I was sitting there at the house worrying what we're going to do, and my co-chair, Steve, called me and said, we got it worked out.
Bless.
One of the board members was there for something else last night, and she said she would stay to midnight, and another volunteer that had spent the night came in, and she said, well, I'll come in at midnight. And
What time do you have to leave what time do you leave in the morning?
I drove by there on the way here this morning, and they were on their way out about 7:15, 7:30.
Okay.
But we asked our guests to have to be out by 7, and there's a few closing procedures that you have to do, wipe down tables and disinfect some things, and
Right.
and be sure everything's locked up and nobody's still in the building. And
Okay.
most of them I've gone by there at 7:15, and everybody's gone.
Okay.
Some mornings it's just it just depends on how fast you get everybody out of there and you get everything done.
Now, if you get into a situation, what happens, say, we get a foot of snow, and would you extend the hours, or
We did.
what would happen?
We did last year because we had several days where it was extremely cold and it was snowing, and a lot of them hang out at the library during the day.
Oh, okay.
The library will let them stay there as long as they're open and they're not causing any problems. They'll let them stay there all day.
Okay.
Last year, some of the fast food restaurants were not open inside, and that's
Okay.
where a lot of them hang out. So we were fortunate. Steve stayed a lot of days, and we had another volunteer come in, and we kept it open for several hours. There was a couple of days the library was open later, and we stayed open until the library opened up, so they could go to the library.
So, in proximity, how far are you from the library? Do they just walk, or do you transport them? How does
They
that
have
work?
to walk.
Yeah.
We are right off of Main Street. So I mean, it's a good little walk, but it's not a bad walk.
Right.
There's no hills. It's just straight down Main Street and then turn and go down Fifth Avenue.
When I'm in Mexico, I have friends down there that just walk all over the place.
Yeah.
And they would be like, "Oh, that's nothing."
Yeah.
That's nothing. I'd have friends that would take off their goes, "Well, we're just going to walk." I'm like, "What? You're walking?" It's like,
Yeah.
I do it every day.
Yeah.
And so we've gotten in our heads, well, I can't walk. Yes, you can.
Yeah. And they walk everywhere else.
Yes,
so
exactly.
they're used to walking, and
Sure.
it's not as big a walk as last year to the Armory. That was a long walk.
Oh, yeah.
And where we're located this year, we're just up the street from the Workforce Essentials.
Yes.
We're just,
Perfect.
go down 10th and cross Memorial, and there's the health department. There's the county office building. If they're a veteran, they can go in there and get assistance. We've
Yes.
had some veterans. The food stamp office is right around behind the health department. It's a close proximity to a lot of the resources that they need.
Absolutely. I just love this. I love that this is happening. How long has My Father's House been around?
This is our fifth year.
You said the 5th year. You already
This is our
mentioned
5th
that.
year.
Because it was the I don't know, the one of the churches took off with it, right?
The pastor at New Chapel.
The pastor at New Chapel. It was
He
his,
kind
okay.
of headed it. And that was before I was a pastor, and I was his administrative assistant
Okay.
at New Chapel. And he was also the chair of COPE, which I'm the chair of COPE now. And COPE
Okay.
let us umbrella under them until last year without having to form our own nonprofit. We
Okay.
umbrellaed under them. And now we have our own separate nonprofit. And
I love it. For My Father's House.
For My
It's just
Father's
such
House,
a
yes.
good thing. Kingdom work. And did I hear you say you're a pastor?
I am.
Oh,
Yeah.
tell me about that. Tell me about that.
If you told me 10 years ago, I would have said, no way.
Seriously, tell me about the journey to become a pastor.
Well, I'm in the Methodist Church, what they call a licensed local pastor. I do not have to go to seminary. I've never been to college. Do not have a
think
college
this
degree.
is fabulous. I'm digging every bit of this. This is awesome.
Our
Showing
pastor,
my 70s upbringing.
the pastor at New Chapel, well, shortly before he had a massive heart attack, and they offered lay speaking courses, and I took one, not knowing why in the world I was taking it. And you have to write a sermon and give a sermon in the class, and like the month after that class, he had a massive heart attack. And he was out for 6 months. And we had different people fill in, and I started filling in some, and we shared pastors with Woodland Street, so he preached at 2 churches. So I started preaching at both churches a lot, not every Sunday, but a lot of Sundays. And one Sunday at Woodland Street, I was sitting there, and it's like God said, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And hadn't really told anybody. He came back, and the first thing he sat in my office at the church, and he sat down and looked at me. So, when do you want your first church? And I just looked at him like, how'd you know? So he helped me get through the process. It was a process. It took me several years to.
So tell me. So do you pastor a church then?
Yes.
Which church?
War Trace United Methodist Church. It's a little country church out on Greenbrier Pike. It's just a quaint little country church. It's an older congregation. We just had our homecoming in August, and Dr. Kumar came and preached at our homecoming. We had a big turnout. It's just a small congregation.
I think that's fabulous.
Between 15 to 18 on Sunday morning, and I think my youngest member is like 54 years old. And
I think it's wonderful.
I've known him his entire life, and his parents go to church here. I've known them their entire life, so it's.
See, this is I don't know if you've listened to the show, so you know I'm one of those that think that this whole women in the church thing, that so many of our denominations are that's part of their theology, I think is just absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
And I tell everybody, if I'm wrong, convince me. And nobody's, and I'm not closed-minded on it, because I grew up Church of Christ. I am a member of the Church of Christ. That is my family. They will always be my family. But I've made it very clear, some of the theology of the Church of Christ I disagree with.
Yeah.
And I will be and I'm very careful about that, because any of those that take on the position of a teacher, we're going to be judged more strictly. So I've got to be very careful about what I say. And I weigh it constantly, and it burdens me.
I worked with somebody years ago. I used to work for the State Attorney General's office. In fact, Judge Perry, I was his secretary for 5 years. We both started the same day with the Attorney General's office. But one of the she was a female attorney, smart, and her and her sister were both single. They lived with their daddy, Church of Christ, and she would come to church. She would come to work on Thursday morning, so mad because she wasn't allowed to speak and do certain things that she but she faithfully went to church every Sunday. They traveled to go out of town. They would find a Church of Christ to attend. They traveled a lot with their father.
Right.
They traveled a lot. But I can remember her so upset and so unhappy about it. And I just couldn't imagine. Of course, when I was growing up, there was not female pastors. I thought, I might marry a preacher someday. But of course I didn't. But I never once dreamed that I would be a preacher myself.
That's amazing. I'm so proud of you, sister. That is fabulous. I just love this. I love this. I had no idea. This is why I love having people in and getting their backstory and just talking to them on my front porch here.
Yeah.
And I know it's not a porch, but it's kind of the same thing. We're just having a conversation. And I'm talking with Chalene Sullivan and just getting the backstory for how in the world she got so involved with my father's house, which she has been for several years now. And then she kind of let that little seed slip that she's a pastor. And I had no idea. And I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole with that, but fabulous, sister. Thank you. Thank you. That is wonderful.
I'm
love
having
hearing
to take
that.
classes, which at 64, writing papers and stuff, and learning the Bible better. And I tell you, the first night down at my father's house, we had two men there, and Mr. Walling that owns the building.
Uh-huh.
He did the devotional that night. He's become involved. Him and his wife have been attending the board meetings. He got done with devotional, and these two men, they started talking, and we were like, kind of sit back, and they knew the Bible front and back. Both of them, very, very knowledgeable of the Bible. They could quote scripture. It just took us aback, and they've been very involved in the devotionals, sharing every night, which you just really, you don't want to judge, but you don't really expect that.
Yeah, you just have really no idea what
No.
what the story is, what people's
No.
backstory
And we've
is
had
all
one
about.
already find a job. In fact, he left Monday
Oh, that's wonderful.
to go for an orientation in Ohio. They stopped to pick him up.
Oh,
He's
that's wonderful.
ex-military. He's ex-military, and what's so wonderful about he was sitting at Wendy's. He did not apply for this job. He did not know how they found out about him. He got a phone call in Wendy's
How
and
bizarre.
answered the phone. And they said, I'm calling you about this job. And he's like, what job? And they told him it was a really good job. He's driving. He's by himself. He's got family in the area, but he's by himself. So it's perfect for him. He's going to be on the road 3 weeks a month. And then he's going to be off the road, and he's going to come stay at the shelter the week he's off and volunteer. He wants to volunteer there.
Awesome.
So
I love stories like that.
Yeah, he said, that was definitely God, put that job in front. He said he'd been praying to God, if you give me a job, I am going to make it work.
I love it.
And yeah.
And you just hear such amazing stories when you talk to these folks and get to know them. It's just so beautiful, and just kingdom work. If you want to be a part of this, I'm going to let you just kind of, I've got to do one more ad, and we'll do that on the out, and then I'll bring on Lee Marie is coming in with The Gov Show, my sister Lee Marie. And so I want you to give them all the details on how they can get in touch with you, where you need them to contact. Churches, please, one day a month. What day of the month can you take over at my Father's house and it be your day, and you come in and take care of everything so they don't have to stress over it? So how can they get in touch with you, and what do they need to do?
Okay. You can call our phone, 615-992-1547.
Do
and
it twice.
615-992-1547, and it forwards straight to my cell phone, my
Okay.
personal phone. You can get on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com, Robco, My Father's House. Our email is MFHROBCO, which is My Father's House, Robco,
Okay.
at gmail.com. It's MFHROBCO@gmail.com. And we have a website also, www.myfathershousemission.org.
Okay. One more time with that.
www.myfathershousemission.org.
Very good. Anything that we're missing, Pastor? Do you go by Pastor Sullivan, Pastor Charlene? What do you go
Just
by?
whatever. Some of my people in the congregation, like I said, they're older, and a lot of them will call me it's just Pastor or Pastor Charlene.
Okay.
Or Charlene. I'm so used to.
I know.
It sounds kind of strange,
But I
being
think
called
it's
that.
just wonderful, Pastor. We're talking with Pastor Charlene Sullivan of My Father's House, and that's how I'm going to call you from now on. Now that I know you're a pastor, just love it. I just love it. What are anything we're missing that you want to cover?
We do have an Amazon wish list.
Okay,
It's on our
great.
Facebook page. So if
Okay.
you go to the Facebook page, it'll have the link you can follow, and it has a list of supplies. And we were blessed, greatly blessed, and we have them shipped. They shipped to my house.
Okay.
And I felt like I was the UPS truck for a while. But it buys all the supplies that we need: toilet paper, paper towels, laundry detergent, soap. Lots of granola bars that we use for breakfast and snacks and different times. Just, things that you wouldn't think about needing, and things we needed as we
Staples.
got started. Mop buckets, because wherever we've been before, we used things that people had there. So we had to have our own things. So we have an Amazon wish list, and you can go on our Facebook page and get the link to that.
What are you going to do for Christmas? Are you going to have any kind of a Christmas party, gifts, or do you want people to bring Christmas gifts for the folks that will be there?
We're probably going to be deciding that at our board meeting next week.
Okay.
Last year we had a church service.
Okay.
I did the church service.
Okay.
And we had a large dinner afterwards, and we invited our volunteers to come, and we had different groups brought by presents for. We didn't just ask for anything in particular, but they brought by like gift bags that had and gift cards.
Sure, for
Small
them. Keeping in mind,
denominations, like $10. Nothing more than a $10 gift card.
like for McDonald's or something like that.
House, or Walmart. They could go to Walmart and buy something that they need.
Right.
People gave a lot of hats and gloves and socks, which they could always use those. Yeah.
Very good.
Sweatpants is very giving in size.
Yeah. Very good. We're talking with Chalene Sullivan. Got to wrap it up because I got to do an ad here. But thank you again. And tell them your phone number twice as we make our way out. And I'm going to do an ad. And we're going to get ready for Lee Marie.
615-992-1547. 615-992-1547.
And when you go, put the comment in the comments, maybe links to your different web pages and all that. Go in the comments and just kind of leave us some links.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Pastor Chalene Sullivan and My Father's House. Appreciate you, sister.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And as we make our way out, I'm going to talk about my friends Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. Here's the deal. Whether you're buying or selling, or whether maybe you want to be a realtor, have you thought about joining a real estate team? Do you want somebody to mentor you? You can't find anybody any better than the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. If you come and talk to Barry and Rebecca, you're going to get the experience she has as one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist. She's been at this a long time. She's studying, staying up to date on crossing those T's and dotting those I's, making sure she's got everything covered that you need covered when you come to the real estate table. Barry, I can't say it enough. He was a vice president of a media marketing company for 17 years. He brings that expertise to the table to teach you about making sure that when they're flipping through those listings, yours pops. And it starts with good photography. You cannot, he tells me all kinds of horror stories where somebody will go in and help with the photography, and it's just atrocious until he comes in and he fixes the color, he fixes the coloring on it and everything on it to where it will pop. You want to talk to a great team, Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. You can check them out at sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or buy.robertsoncounty.com. They specialize in Robertson County properties, but they also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. When you contact them, please let them know U-Turn sent you in that phone number if you want to just call them direct. It is 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. I am finished. It is time for The Go Show with Lee Marie. This is 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a fabulous day.